Good morning, everybody. Oh, yes. Imagine disciplining your kids without timeouts, without spanking, punishment, or bribery. Woo! Parenting coach Judy Arnall is in with us this morning. She's an award-winning international speaker based in Calgary. She says it can be done, that you can parent that way. She's written a new book. You just saw it, Discipline Without Distress, and she's in to tell us all about that today. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Tara.
So why don't we start off with just kind of laying the foundation here with what do you consider punishment?
Well, it's probably better to ask your kids because they're more experts of that than the parents. But punishment is usually anything done to hurt a child. So spanking, timeout can be used as a punishment. Often it's used as a calming tool too. And pretty well grounding, threatening, those kinds of things are punishments.
Why do you think that that's the wrong road to go down as a parent?
Well, most of our relationships, our love relationships, we don't tend to punish the other person. And the parent-child relationship is a love relationship. Mm-hmm. So it shuts down communication, it shuts down good feelings, maybe temporary, but it does have long-term implications for the long-term outcome of that relationship.
Really? So when would you see that coming out? In teenage or adult? Like, how does it affect it long term?
Very often it comes out as the child's entering preteen, teen years. That's when the communication shuts down. And very often it's because of the way parents use to handle challenges in parenting.
That you just put up the wall and say, that's it, here's your punishment, and that's how they deal with it?
Well, the children usually fire the parents in the teen years. They're not listening anymore, they shut down, they don't talk. And that's basically, I think, because they're fighting back or they're retreating. That's the way they're dealing with punishment in that relationship.
Okay, so let's talk about timeouts, because a lot of people use timeouts, the naughty mat, and a lot of people use it as, you know, a time for the kid to calm themselves down. What do you say about that?
It can be used both ways, and timeout became very popular because spankings become so socially unacceptable these days. So, but parents still feel the need to do something when they perceive their child's misbehave.
Right.
So, timeout is often used as a punishment. It is often used as a calming tool, but if parents really, really look at it, it's usually the parents need the timeout. Their need to get away, deal with their anger, and very often they put the child in timeout so that they have a moment to calm down themselves. And I'm saying, instead of taking another person and putting them in timeout, deal with yourself. Change what you can change, which is yourself, and take a timeout for you. Get yourself in a calm space. Then deal with the discipline issue with your child. And very often there are children that won't go to timeout. Right? Mm-hmm. And it becomes quite a power struggle, and it escalates, and nobody is calming down.
Okay, so if your child is just, you know, sometimes they are out of control, and you want them to calm down. You're okay, but you really do want them to calm down. Then what do you do? How do you calm them down? Instead of saying, go have a timeout, be by yourself and calm down for a little bit. How do you deal with that?
Well, especially for toddlers and preschoolers, I mean, you could say to a teenage person, go take a timeout, go shoot some baskets of the basketball hoop. And they can do that. But for small children, they don't know how to calm down. They need a parent there to show them, to help hold them, to hug them, to tell them to deep breathe. In the book, I list 65 ways that we can calm down, we can show our children to calm down without forcing them into isolation. And that's a life skill. When I ask parents, well, how do you take a timeout? And parents say they're all positive things. They take a bath, the husbands go in the workshop, go mow the lawn, the moms go have a cup of coffee alone. They're all positive ways to calm down. And that's what we want to teach our kids.
Okay, what's wrong with saying to a kid, say you're going to a doctor's appointment, if you're really well behaved in this doctor's appointment, we'll go for an ice cream afterwards.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
You're going to be buying a lot of ice cream over your lifetime.
Yes, that's true.
Because it does work for small children. I have to admit, bribery does work. But you want to teach your children that sometimes they have to do things, and behavior is not contingent on getting a reward or a bribe. It's expected. It's something, a life skill you want to teach them. So if you really want them to do things, I list some other ways in the book, like make it a game to get out of the house to the doctors, or making it a game to get into the car seat so you can buckle them in. So there's many other ways to use than bribery, because you can get caught in that trap where you're always and, dangling that carrot at the end.
And then they expect it. They
do.
just expect, I was very good, so can I have a, so that's true. And I actually have used some of your methods over the weekend, and I think it takes a bit. I mean, it's not going to happen the first time. I think you need to develop that relationship, hey?
Absolutely. They're tools you can practice, and they get better, and not everything works all the time. You try different things for different ages, different things for different children.
Okay, so obviously it's an agreement that you think kids need discipline and they need boundaries. So what's effective discipline?
Okay, absolutely children do need discipline, but discipline means teaching. It doesn't mean hurting them. So effective boundaries is meaning what you say and saying what you mean. So you can say 15 yeses in a day and you're not being a permissive parent. But the one time you really feel you need to say no, you have to stay with that no. If you said no, you can't change. Right? So that is effective discipline. Modeling the way you want them to be, that's effective discipline. And that happens 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Yet we don't really think of modeling as a discipline tool.
No.
Right?
So what do you mean by that? How is that a discipline tool?
It's because you are showing them how adults behave in our society. You are teaching them. And true discipline is about teaching. It's not about hurting someone. Punishment is about hurting. So parents really have to realize that there is a difference between discipline and punishment. Two separate things, although we like to use them interchangeably and confuse the issue.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about in the moment, because that's a lot of times when you maybe make the wrong decision, when you're in the moment as a parent and things are a little bit stressful. So what do you do if your child's being really aggressive to either a sibling or another child at the playground? How do you deal with that effectively?
That is such a common scenario, is parents say, what do I do when my child's hitting someone else or the children are fighting? So in the moment, we tend to revert back to the way we were raised, and we do reactionary parenting. So I'm saying, take a moment, get yourself calm first so that you can give a calm response. And then with fighting children, what you want to do is focus your attention on the victim or the person who's been hit. And what that does, excuse me,
you can have a sip of water if you'd like. I understand how that happens sometimes. And this is great because, there's nothing wrong with, if you're used to one form of parenting, learning another, right? And just opening yourself up to see what works with different kids. So, sorry, go ahead. So then you focus on the victim.
So you focused on the victim and you shower attention on repairing them. Not repairing them, but making them feel better.
Right.
And then usually they're fighting because emotions are high, they're upset, they're frustrated, they're angry over something, some type of conflict. So then, that person's calmed down. So you go back to the perpetrator, and then you have to show them how to work it out, how to solve the problem. So you don't solve the problem by taking away the toy. You show them, okay, how can we deal with this? You ask them, how can we share this toy, or who can have it first? What are some ways to solve this conflict?
So that they can work it out on their own?
Absolutely. And you can start that when they're 2. Okay? And those are skills that children need. They need to know how to resolve conflicts with other people, rather than putting those people in timeout or hitting them, which is what we tend to do when we do reactionary parenting.
Okay, so just take a deep breath and then go into it and act like as if it was two adults, maybe. I mean, because that's what you say, right? That you have to treat the child the same way that you would treat a coworker, or it's got to be a mutual respect.
Absolutely. You want to model what will happen in the real world. If you go to a movie theater and somebody behind you is kicking your seat, you don't go to that person, pick them up, and put them in a timeout, right? No. You remove yourself.
Right.
And change what you can change the situation. And children need a lot of adult help in dealing with their emotions. And it's a lifelong skill to teach them not to hit the other person. This is how you deal with your anger. And we have to do that by showing them how we deal with our anger. Most parents, we all start off the day with great conflict resolution skills at 9 a.m. and by 4 p.m. we're yelling. Each day we wake up and we say, we're going to do better today. We're going to try and model what we want our children to learn.
Start fresh.
We do.
Well, and I like that you say you have to model, right? So when your kids see the way that you interact with other people, that's the way they're going to interact.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with you taking a breather, you taking a timeout, and getting yourself, because all parents get angry. It's okay. It's normal. Parenting involves anger. But it's good for you to just take a deep breath, not react to the situation. Take a few minutes to decide what to do. Separate your anger from your discipline, and then come back and deal with the situation calmly. Because when we're angry, we tend to punish. That's our immediate reaction.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with taking a few minutes to just think.
Just think about it. They're your kids. You got to take a moment. And really, I mean, I've done that before, where I've done the bribery. I tried the timeouts. It didn't work for a couple of my kids, but you know, it's just a really good idea to check this out, and it's some good, thoughtful advice, some things that you can think about as a parent. Professionalparenting.ca is the website you can go to find out a little bit more about what Judy has to say, and she's also doing some workshops at the library. Is that information on your website as well, Judy?
It is.
Okay, great. So you can get all that information right there. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Tara.
It's great.
Thanks.
Deep breaths, calm down before the decisions are made. That's a good life skill.
It is.
No matter if you're parenting or what it is, right?
Absolutely.